Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to delve into one of the most challenging yet fascinating topics. Did Jesus Christ exist? For some people, Jesus is the foundation of their faith, a divine figure who changed the course of history. For others, he is an interesting historical character or even a myth. Regardless of which side you look at this question, religious, historical, or skeptical, it's a topic that needs to be explored. In this video, we'll break down the historical evidence, explore different points of view, and talk about Jesus' impact on history and the modern world. You may not find all the answers by the end of the video, but you'll definitely get some food for thought. Let's go. Historical evidence for the existence of Jesus. Let's start with a historical perspective. Did Jesus of Nazareth really live? Most historians are convinced that yes, he did. Let's break down why. First, the time and place where Jesus is said to have lived, 1st century AD Judea, has been well documented by Roman and Jewish authors. Although Jesus was not a political leader or military commander, his life and execution left a mark that has been mentioned by major historians. For example, the Roman historian Tacitus writes about Christ in his book Annals. He mentions the persecution of Christians under Emperor Nero and specifies that their movement began with Christ, who was executed under Pontius Pilate during the reign of Tiberius. This coincides with the descriptions in the Gospels. Another important source is the Jewish historian Josephus Flavius. In his Jewish Antiquities, he briefly describes Jesus as a sage and teacher who gathered followers around him and was condemned to death. Although some scholars doubt the authenticity of some fragments, even uncontested portions of his text support the version that Jesus existed. It is important to note that neither Tacitus nor Josephus Flavius were Christians, which adds credibility to their testimonies. They had no personal interest in promoting the Christian narrative. The Gospels, history or theology. The main sources on the life of Jesus are, of course, the Gospels, from Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. These texts form the basis of the New Testament and describe the birth, ministry, miracles, death, and resurrection of Jesus. But to what extent can the Gospels be considered historically accurate? Scholars agree that they were written decades after Jesus' death by authors who either did not know him personally or were part of early Christian communities. This means that the Gospels are not neutral historical records, but theological texts created to reinforce faith. Nevertheless, many historians believe that there are grains of historical truth in the Gospels. For example, the crucifixion of Jesus is one of the most widely recognized facts of his life, as it is mentioned in several sources, both Christian and non-Christian. In addition, the Gospel's descriptions of the culture and politics of Judea at the time are consistent with historical data, which adds to their credibility. However, miraculous elements, such as walking on water or raising the dead, are more difficult to verify. For believers, these are acts of divine power, but for skeptics, they are symbolic stories added later to emphasize the importance of Jesus. The arguments of the skeptics, myth or man. Now let's consider the skeptic's point of view. Some scholars and thinkers argue that Jesus may not have existed at all, or may have existed, but not in the way the Bible describes. One of the main arguments is the similarity of the story of Jesus to earlier myths. Ancient religions often have stories of gods or demigods who die and are resurrected. For example, the myths of Osiris in Egyptian mythology or Mithras in Roman traditions. Skeptics suggest that early Christians may have borrowed elements of these myths to create their Jesus narrative. Another argument is the lack of direct evidence. Unlike Roman emperors or other famous figures of the time, Jesus left no coins, inscriptions, or physical artifacts. Even the tomb of Jesus mentioned in the Bible has yet to be found. In addition, skeptics point out that all written sources about Jesus' life were created by his followers. This calls into question their objectivity, for they were most likely seeking to reinforce their faith, not just record historical facts. Jesus' influence on history. Even leaving aside the question of his divinity, it is hard to deny that Jesus had a tremendous impact on the course of world history. Christianity, based on his teachings, has become one of the largest religions in the world. His message of love, forgiveness, and faith in God continues to inspire millions of people to this day. Why exactly did Jesus become such a significant figure? Perhaps because his teachings were incredibly universal. They appealed not only to the rich and powerful, but also to the poor, the oppressed, those on the margins of society. It was truly revolutionary for its time. Summary and open questions. So what have we learned? The historical evidence suggests that Jesus was probably a real person. But whether he was a man, a prophet, or God is a matter of faith and interpretation. For some, it is a matter of religious conviction. For others, it is a search for historical truth. But perhaps what is most important is not the evidence for Jesus' existence, but the impact his teachings continue to have on the world. So friends, what do you think? Do you believe Jesus existed? Who was he to you? Write your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. There are more interesting topics to come. Thanks for watching and see you in the next videos.
I don't think you will be able to click on the next video before time runs out. 3, 2, 1. You lost.